Hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. Good morning and welcome into Undisputed. Bayless and Shannon Sharp. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning. My pick's doing well. How your pick's doing this?
I had a rough weekend. My Grizzlies lost at the buzzer. My Celtics lost at the opening tip-off. And my Jerry Jones just lost all the way home.
So you had a rough weekend?
Yeah. But I'm going to have a really good show.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
No, you're not. I don't know what you got good to talk about. What you got good to talk about?
You're about to find out.
Skip, I thought we might needed to check on you this weekend. We're glad to see you this morning, that everything's
I wouldn't check it on you.
okay. All right, guys. Let's jump right in because there's a ton to get to today. So let's start with Draymond Green. His ejection did not stop the Warriors from securing Game 1 against Skip's Grizzlies, as he just mentioned. The forward was assessed a flagrant 2 at the end of the first half. On his podcast last night, Draymond addressed the foul. Take a listen.
I am dumb enough to think that it would not even be a flagrant 1. That, you know, the playoffs are a little tougher and not as soft as the regular season, you know, and that, you know, you can bump a little more and you get away with a little more. Sometimes I guess it's just a case-by-case thing. It's, you know, it's a reputation thing. I think tonight was probably a reputation thing more so than a hard foul.
Not as soft as the regular season. Shannon, what do you think? Should this have been a flagrant 2?
Yes, because as the refs explained it, he wound up, hit him in the face, and then he grabbed him by his jersey and snatched him out of the air. The guy has already airborne. That is a very dangerous play. And I think the thing is, Skip, is that Draymond Green has lost the benefit of the doubt. Far too many times he's been on the wrong end of these. The better question is, why is Draymond always on the end of these? Was that a flagrant on Steph? Was that a flagrant on Clay? Was that a flagrant on Looney? Was that a flagrant on Draymond?
Yep.
Skip, you can't continuously do this. You know it. He knows it's kind of like anything, Skip. A guy that's always in trouble. The first time something happens in the neighborhood, the cops show up, who they asking? Even if he didn't have anything to do with it because his reputation precedes him. Even in the playoffs. Draymond, a lot of your flagrant fouls have happened in the playoffs. Kicking Steven Adams. Well, I think that was the regular. That might have been the postseason.
No, it was the
postseason. Yeah. And LeBron.
Yeah.
So far too many times, Dre, you found yourself on the wrong end of these.
Yep.
And I get it, Skip, you know, if he's playing football, that'd have been a great play. Tackle the guy by his jersey, snatch him down like, oh, man, Draymond got some strong hands.
Yep.
But you can't do that in basketball. And even after you start to snatch him out the air,
yep,
you cannot extend and say, well, Draymond tried to soften this ball. He didn't catch him. The floor caught him. He tried. This. I get it. In the playoffs, as Draymond mentioned, Skip, things are a little bit tougher. We'll talk about the Boston series and how the bumping and the physicality is increased. But there are still certain things that you can't do. Yep. Even in playoff football, it's refereed a little looser because of it's the playoffs. But Skip, you still can't grab the guy's face mask and throw it down. It's still a penalty. And so because Draymond's history of this and because he wound up, hit the guy in the face and grabbed him by the jersey, it wasn't good enough to just hit the guy in the face. He's like, I'm going to make sure you don't get this ball off. Yep. I'm going to snatch your butt out the air by your jersey. So for me, yes, Skip, it warranted that. And then how he left the court. Why would he do that? Why would he behave in that manner after Draymond, I thought you learned your lesson in Game 4 in 2016. That you cost everybody says you cost your team. Yep. You almost cost your team this game, but still you haven't learned your lesson. So how many more series you're going to have to cost your team before you know what, guys, I can't do this. Man, you know what? I'm hurting my team. I know it's all good. Look, I love the way the guy plays. He's an undersized big, playing down there with the bigs, and he does a great job of battling. He's the heartbeat. He's the pulse of that team. But this was absolutely the right call to make, given that it's Draymond Green and given that it's his history. So, yes, I had no problem, absolutely no problem, Skip, with this being a flagrant 2.
I don't like Draymond Green, but I had a problem.
Okay.
And I immediately tweeted, you can look at my timeline. I had a problem because it's the playoffs. And I don't want to see this in the playoffs.
Right.
I didn't want to see what happened in 2016 in the finals.
Right.
Because that penalty was so severe to suspend Draymond Green for a finals game, I still haven't quite gotten over it because I can't believe Kiki Vandeweghe and everybody else in the commissioner's office decided, let's take him out of Game 5 as they return to Oracle. It absolutely handed LeBron James and Kyrie and the rest LeBron's third ring. It reopened a door that was about to be slammed shut because it got slammed on LeBron's hand in Game 4. And it was a complete wipeout. But as you know, that happened.
Right.
And that happened late in a blowout game.
Correct.
And he called him the B word so audibly that Kiki could hear it in the third row.
But he also kicked him in the groin.
Well, I'm saying, but that came first.
Yes.
The B word came first, and then they go up court, tangling, and then they go down, and he kicks him in the midsection. And it's so blatant that he'd already done it to Steven Adams earlier in the playoffs, and he has a long track record of all of the above.
Right.
That he actually got tossed from that game and got suspended for the next game. That is unprecedented, and to this day, I've never seen anything like that.
Right.
So I'm still a little bit raw from that, which is why yesterday I immediately tweeted I wouldn't have thrown him out because it's the playoffs, and I just don't want to see a key piece. He's obviously, you can argue he's the key piece.
But Skip, if he knows he's the key piece, why would he keep putting himself in that situation? If I know I'm being counted on, if I know I'm going to be really needed by my team, why would I put myself and my team in harm's way?
I got it. But he has always been validated internally because he has been seen as the bouncer for that team.
Yes.
He has been seen as the enforcer for that team. He has been seen as the edge provider for a team that has no edge.
Yes.
We got baby-faced assassin Steph.
Right.
And we got Clay, who's such a nice guy that he's almost too nice of a guy, though he made a big clutch shot in this game.
Right.
And the rest of the team is all finesse. It's all beautiful basketball. It's more like the Spurs used to be. It's share the ball. It's why Kevin Durant wanted to go be a part of this because the ball moves beautifully and there's no superstar in the team who won't share the basketball.
Correct.
They're as great as shooters as Steph and Clay are. They're not gunner shooters. You know, they're not without conscience. Right. They will pass the basketball.
Yes, they will make the extra pass.
So what did you need from the start? The crucial component, the guts and the glue to it was Draymond.
Yes.
And the irony of Draymond is he's a cheap shot artist who is actually an artist because he's as good a passer as there is on the team.
Absolutely.
He is the point forward, right?
Yes.
So he could serve two roles. He could be the enforcer and the point forward. Well, that's an unheard of blend of talents where you can be a badass over here, but you can be the initiator, the orchestrator, right? The maestro.
Right.
You can be the maestro.
Right.
To me, he's the best passer on the team, and he made a couple yesterday where I said, wow, that was really smart, right?
If I'm not mistaken, I think he leads them in assists.
Well, he always has, but he always leads them in best passes. Steph's a very good passer, but he's not Draymond. No. And Draymond will bang and board, and he'll play defense at the highest level, and he's always a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. So he gives you a bizarre sort of package, but he's also a flat-out cheap shot artist who internally gets validated because they need this.
Yes.
But for him, this was unprecedented to me. Since when do we avoid the post-game interview session to go back to the hotel to do your own emergency podcast? Is that not a new one on you?
Yeah, the NBA is not going to be happy with this.
They're not going to be happy because there's no cross-examination. You're unopposed, right? You get to go sit. I think he was in his hotel room.
I think he was also. Yes.
So he's just looking to his own microphone, and here we go.
Right.
And for him to go all the way to, I didn't even think it was going to be a flagrant one. What? Are you kidding me? Now you've gone completely over the edge delusional. Right. You've lost me on that one. What? Just because it's the playoffs? Well, you can't do that. And then we go back to the description of the play, the explanation of the play from Kane Fitzgerald, the head referee. So his point was that Draymond Green has been ejected for the windup to the face, the impact to the face, the follow-through with the jersey, and the throw down to the ground.
Right.
Well, it's actually a 2-for-1 because he got him with the right hand and just smacked him in the face. Well, we know by today's standards,
Right.
you can't do that. So it's going to be a flagrant one.
That's a flagrant one.
Okay.
And then with the left skip, he smacked him in the face with the right and then grabbed
left.
it with the left.
Okay, now help me out. I've been covering NBA playoff games since the middle 1970s, so I've seen a bunch of old school playoff basketball. I can't remember anybody ever grabbing the front of the jersey to tear down, to rip down. I've never seen it. Maybe somebody can update me and say, oh, remember when?
That's a front horse collar.
It's a front horse collar. But I've seen all kinds of takedowns.
Yes.
I've seen all kinds of old school takedowns where you just get knocked up against the stanchion. You get wiped out. It's like you got a layup or a dunk, and all of a sudden you're in the third row.
Right.
Okay, that's old school basketball, and it's just your basic 2-shot foul, and you go shoot it.
Correct.
But this was a grab with the left, like you said, right and then left, and a pull down, and yet after the fact, after Brandon Clark pretty much hits the floor, then he's pulling up on him like, whoops, I didn't mean to, but he didn't really break his fall.
He did not.
Okay, so I get if you add all that up, especially by today's standards, the way these games are officiated, well, it's at least a flagrant one, but I'm not shocked that they went to flagrant 2. I was surprised. I was not shocked.
If that's Kevon Looney, I don't know if they go to a flagrant 2 because
Maybe
he has
not.
no history of that.
Well,
but given, Skip, you mentioned it, given his background in this type of behavior, I don't really think they had a choice. And I get it, the playoffs, but it rolled to the level of egregiousness because it is Draymond and because he has a history. But the thing, Draymond, at some point in time, bro, you're going to have to stop this because you caught everybody says, and I still believe the Cavs would have won. But how many more series are you going to have to cost